Welcome to the Vetiver Vibes podcast. We're your hosts, Nikki, Rachael, and Rhonda, certified clinical aromatherapists coming to you from Ontario, Canada, and on the internet everywhere.
This episode is brought to you by Essentria, a leading online school for aromatherapy. Essentria is your go-to source for clinical aromatherapy certification programs that are recognized by NAHA and the Canadian Federation of Aromatherapists.
If you want to learn more about Aroma Massage course, check out their website, www.schoolofessentria.com. We're excited that you've given your time to be here with us, knowing you'll get the best essential oil scoop.
Hi, welcome to this week's episode of Vetiver Vibes. Today, myself, Nikki, and Rachael are going to dive deep into what oils we like to use over the winter months. As fall is kind of behind us, we got dumped on with snow this weekend. I'm not sure if you did, Rachael, but it definitely
I live
feels
south.
winter. Okay. Oh yeah. No, we got a good 2 inches of snow this past weekend.
Ew.
We went from 18, 19 degrees middle of the week to building snowmen yesterday. It was fantastic.
Your idea fantastic and my idea are very different, Nikki.
Well, the kids loved it. I didn't really venture out too much, but the kids really loved it.
Yeah, we had like a couple of tiny little flurries and we were trying to see if it was going to accumulate anywhere. And we have 2 puppies that have never seen snow. So we were trying to decide if this was going to be it, but it was not. So we will wait for another time. So
well, lucky you. I'm jealous. But let's dive into what essential oils we like to use over the winter months. Do you have favorite oils to use this time of year, Rachael?
I do. I like anything that smells like the typical Christmas scent. So
Okay.
I'm gonna say the firs, those are probably my top favorites. I diffuse those a lot. And then I'd say after that would be kind of the cinnamon scents. I definitely diffuse those, cinnamon and clove and oranges. I'd say those are probably things that I tend to fall back on, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
So makes me feel all warm and cozy.
And it reminds me of, I know in stores, I used to love it walking by. I couldn't stand being close to it for too long, but they had those pine cones that were always full of like cinnamon and clove, or there was something in it. But I remember the stores always filled with that aroma as a kid and even as an adult. And I would love walking by it. But it would also be very strong because there was so much of it clumped together in the store.
Well, my absolute favorite time of year is when my family and I go out to get our real Christmas tree, and we tend to always do a hide and seek through the trees and until we find like the right one. And it's just a tradition that's been going on now for 16 years almost. And the thing I love about that is just the trees, right? You can just smell them constantly. So then you bring the tree home and then it opens up and then you leave and you can't really smell it generally at that time because that's all you've been doing is smelling trees. But when you come down the next morning, it's just Christmas tree smell in my living room. I absolutely love that. And then, fast forward like a week or two, and if you get really close, it still smells like that, but it's starting to fade a little bit. So definitely get the diffusers out to bring back that scent because it's just filled with good memories for us.
Yeah, nice. So we do the artificial tree. We want to get a real one at one point, because I loved having a real one growing up, but right now we're still doing artificial. And so I have a little clay ornament that I'll often drop something like a Douglas fir or any of the conifers really on it, and just to give that tree smell, because that is something that I miss. And I love those scents also, especially because I'm such a tree hugger and a proud tree hugger that in the winter, it's just not the same when I walk through the forest. It's still beautiful. It's still lovely with everything snow covered, but it doesn't have the same aroma. So I love to diffuse all those tree scents, Siberian fir, white fir, Douglas fir, pine. There's so many different trees that I almost make my own little forest blend to forest bathe in my living room or my workspace or wherever I'm at to kind of help bring back those nice warm tree scents in with me.
Yeah,
Yes.
winter walks in the forest are awesome. I love them. And I didn't love them that long ago, actually. I'm generally not a winter person, but when the world shut down a couple of years ago, I decided that I needed to embrace the winter months as much as I embrace the rest of the year. And so that was definitely a positive in a, maybe not so positive time of our lives. And I got out there regularly and was, if you dress properly for it, it's actually not that bad.
No.
And so, but it's very crisp and clean, and yeah,
It's the
the scent is not really there, but
freshness.
it's very fresh, and
Yeah.
it's nice because like when you're cooped up inside all the time, to go outside and enjoy that freshness. Whereas like in the summer, it could be almost the opposite, where it's outside and it's so humid and hot that to
Mhm.
come inside well, at least into my house, it's filled with air conditioning and it's nice and cool and crisp inside. So it's a little bit of a reverse.
No, that's true. And I know you've made that comment before that you decided to embrace winter. And I feel, and you've honestly inspired me this winter to try and do that, because I've never embraced winter. I don't, I don't mind it. I like to go tobogganing with the kids and this and that, but it's that energy to get up and get outside that I cringe. But I know it is because I have all the right equipment to be outside and to stay warm. So I know I'm warm, but it's the mentality of getting out there.
It
So you've
really is the
inspired me to do
mentality.
it.
It very much is the mentality. I bought snowshoes for the kids and me a couple years ago. My husband didn't have any interest in joining those, so he doesn't have a pair yet. But yeah, it's great. Like it's super fun. And I remember taking my son out to snowshoe, and we were like out in the field behind the house, and he's like, well, why do I need these snowshoes? Like I could just like walk in the snow. And then he takes his snowshoes off, and then he like falls down up to his knees in the snow, and he's like, oh,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
just makes it
um
easier.
yeah, so but it's a serious exercise too, which is nice. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's a fun
nice.
way to get out there and enjoy the world.
Absolutely. And I find especially as winter progresses, because right now we're at the start of winter, we'll say. But come January, February, when it's been dark for so long and cold for so long, and this is the highest time that a lot of people typically start to feel the sad effect and just needing sunshine. Like we crave the sunshine at this point. This is where I really like to bring in some diffuser blends just to help boost the energy, some uplifting ones like
Definitely.
the sweet orange and grapefruit and peppermint and eucalyptus, and like there's so bergamot, like there's so many nice uplifting oils just to get over those dark times I find come towards the
Yes.
end of winter, that's when I need those. Right now I'm all about, like you said, the trees, the cinnamon,
Homey.
cassia,
Yeah.
clove. Yeah, almost very similar to the autumn ones that we talked about in the
Yes.
fall one, because it still has all that nice warm hug holiday cheer feeling. But then I feel as soon as the holidays are done, I'm like, okay, I need the uplifting oils again.
I will agree with that for sure. I find that in order for me to get through those months, I dive into work at like 200%, and then I'm
Mhm.
completely burnt out by the time the sun comes out again. Um,
Right.
it works for me, but maybe it's not the healthiest. So, I definitely try to find other ways to balance things out. And, sometimes it's as simple as just, opening up one of your inhaler blends and just,
Mhm.
smelling that and saying, you know what, the work can wait a little bit longer, and let's take a small break and just enjoy what's around me. So it's good. I find that my oils tend to be what remind me to actually live the rest of the life that you're supposed to live. So
Mhm.
I'm a workaholic by nature, and I find that when I get my oils out, that's when I am actually taking care of me and using them for me, for my mental health, for my stability. And generally, it means that I get better work done as
Yeah,
well. Because when you have a clear mind, sometimes you can blow through that work so much easier.
absolutely. Is
Yeah.
there a specific product that you like to make over the winter? Like something to help nourish you, or a specific personal inhaler, roller?
I'd
beauty
say like, yeah,
product?
generally I'm a roller bottle and personal inhaler person. I don't have a lot of time to make other things typically. I sometimes you tell me you're making something and I'm like, oh, I wish you lived just a little bit closer so you can make a bigger batch. um, but yeah, so I'd say personal inhaler. I just got like a big batch of personal inhalers in because I've been out for a few months, and so I'm looking forward to making some of those. And actually I'm about to travel, so I think I'm going to make a bunch tonight so that I can have those when I'm away. And
Yeah.
kind of there's going to be some jet lag, so I feel
Mhm.
that I can make something that'll help wake me up. And I'm going
Oh
to be in
yeah.
the theater a lot because for those who don't know, I'm also a theater agent, so I spend a lot of time in the theater. So when I'm on the other side of the world, I can wake up instead of
Well, and the nice thing with personal inhalers, which I think we've mentioned in other episodes before, where it actually forces you to stop,
Mhm.
take a few deep breaths, clear the mind. And if you like to say mantras, or if you have affirmations, you can even say an affirmation here a couple of times and just be mindful of the moment right now. So if everything's, hectic around you or isn't quite going how you want it to be, or even if it is, it's still that reminder to stop, breathe, and take that moment to think of what you're inhaling and what you want it to do for you. So I think that's a great way because, it is easy to get busy and just to go, go, go. And
Yeah.
using it, for that pick me up in the middle of the afternoon or anything like that, just to kind of take that 2-minute pause is great.
Yeah, and I love personal inhalers because they are not going to bother those around me either.
Mhm.
So for me to, inhale them for a minute or so, it's not going to bother anybody else at the theater. It's not going to bother anybody else in the airplane. It's not going to bother anybody else at the stores or
Yeah.
restaurant or wherever I am. So I do like that because I don't particularly like it when somebody was walking around and all they do is smell of perfumes or
Yeah.
essential oils, like 100%, where it's just like wafting
Yeah.
off of you, like out here. If
Yeah.
if
And
you're on
especially
the only listening to the podcast, that was like really far away from our bodies.
especially on an airplane, like, because you can have an
Oh
amazing
yeah,
personal inhaler with immune boosting properties in it
yes,
because you're in a tin can full of everybody else. So it'll help
exactly.
keep your immune system up and no one else has to smell it in. So you'll be great, which is nice.
Unlike that time when I got on the airplane and somebody decided they were going to do their nails.
Oh, nail polish is
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah,
Oh,
don't do
no,
that.
not the time. Not the time.
Not the time.
We are trying to spread the word about the safe use of aromatherapy to as many people as possible. It only takes 5 seconds to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcast or wherever you're listening to us, and it helps us become more visible. We appreciate your support.
No, I plan on
Um,
making whipped body butter. My
ooh,
youngest especially gets really, really dry skin in the winter. I do too. My oldest, his skin's, other than right now, we're all dealing with the poison oak. But when we're not dealing with poison oak, he has great skin that's never dry. But my
Nikki, do you want
youngest,
to talk about poison oak? What have you been doing to help yourself with that?
oh,
And how?
that can be
Why?
a
What happened?
podcast in itself. So we decided to have fun playing hide and seek in the bush off the park. So we have like a little forest by us, but then also in our little community park, 10 houses down from us, there's this nice little bush that goes up to train tracks. There's a fence though, it's all safe. And it was beautiful. It was like 20 degrees. We decided to play hide and seek, which we've done many times, and we're all hiding in the leaves, taking turns counting and this and that. And then a few days later, I have it around my ankles, but then my oldest started to break out in all these dots, and he would scratch, and it started small spots, and then as he would scratch, it would spread and spread and spread.
Oh
And now
no.
his pretty much like his whole body is covered in it. Poor guy. But yeah, we made an aloe. So I couldn't find my big aloe leaves that I typically do in the grocery store, but I do have a few small aloe plants. So I spent probably half an hour cutting up these little teeny tiny aloe leaves to get some pure aloe that I then added. Oh, I have the blend downstairs. I think I added a couple drops of peppermint, some lavender, Roman chamomile, And there was
That
one
sounds like
more.
stuff that would help.
I think maybe frankincense, if I had to guess off the top of my head. So I added
If
that
nothing
to
else
the
for the
aloe.
grounding so that they can
Yeah,
be a little less annoyed that they're so itchy.
exactly. Which is often why I typically add like the frankincense or cedar wood, one or the other, because they're both really good for cell regeneration and just the grounding to help kind of like, okay, we can get through this.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
I apply that on typically once a day. And then just with our schedule, we don't have time to do daily, but we're doing every other day of a clay body mask, and it is a full body mask. So we started with one rotating the back and the back of the legs on one day, and then the next time we did the front and the legs. Then even last night we just did the full back. I had him rotate over, and I mean some came off on the blanket or on the towels, but I was like whatever, and then just the whole
That's what your
front.
washing machine's for.
Exactly. But yeah, because it's literally like from his neck to his toes is
Oh, poor guy.
yeah. So that's what we're dealing with right now. That was our gift of keep on giving for the end of fall.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I'm lucky that it's just at my ankles, and my youngest didn't get any. He has like a couple little tiny spots, but never that spread or anything, and they don't itch, nothing. So it was just him and I, and unfortunately he got the worst of it. But yeah, I can't imagine, because like my ankles are beyond itchy, so I can't even imagine his whole body. But he's a trooper and he's doing good.
Oh, good.
Yeah. But yeah, so I typically make a wick body butter though for my youngest, because him in the winter, unfortunately, he gets the driest skin, and the soap
Me
at the
too.
school he reacts naturally to the soaps, like those bright pink soaps that are in everywhere and absolutely
Yep.
horrible for your skin. He reacts even more so to that, and they always make him wash his hands more so in the winter, especially because he doesn't use the hand sanitizer at school either, because it's too harsh on their skin. I don't allow them to use it.
Yeah.
So he always has cream at school for his hands. And then I have whipped body butter that I apply like all over his body in the winter. So my plan is to make that
Nice.
this weekend. And
Nikki,
that
I need you to come take care of me.
And I don't have a specific recipe. I kind of rotate between when I make it from like cocoa butter and shea butter and a few different, like sometimes there's jojoba, sometimes there's sunflower, I just kind of see what I have and I play around with it. I really like the cocoa and the shea though, one or the other typically.
Yeah, those are
With
nice.
some coconut oil in it too, the virgin raw coconut oil, and then usually just some really nice grounding oils, and I typically ask him also what he likes for the scent, so I'll have a few picked out and he'll usually pick out a couple of those and we go from there. But yeah, and then I mean, if anyone has a cold or anything like that, I always like making just a quick balm for like a chest rub, a DIY chest rub. Those are always nice to have on hand in the winter months, I find too, just for that congestion that comes up. Hopefully I'm going to make one of those sometime. And then this way I just have it for the winter ready to go if needed. So,
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that too. That sounds great. I think your kids are very lucky to have you.
Between that and the elderberry syrup, I feel like I'm pretty covered in our house for if we get under the weather, we are ready to go. Like,
yeah, I was
we
definitely
can
better
kick
at
it.
doing all of that stuff for my kids when they were a little bit younger. Now they're like preteen and teen. I find that they're just like, oh, Mom, leave me alone.
Well, my oldest is
I'm
already
like, okay,
getting
I'm
that
not going to
way.
spend the time on it now.
Yeah, even my oldest, he'll like fight me sometimes. Like he'll go and reach for his oils when he wants it, because he has oils for bug bites, or like right now in the middle of the night, if he wakes up and he's itchy, he has a roller bottle specifically for him that he'll spread all over his hands and he'll rub over his poison oak. So when he knows that they work, and he likes that they work. Yeah. However, when then he's saying like his stomach hurts or he has a sore throat, he doesn't want what I make for those points. He's like, no, I'm good. I don't need it. And I'm like, fine, then you can suffer. Cause I'm like, I don't, this is your choice.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to know I'm not alone, because that's exactly what I go through too. And after a while I'm like, yeah, they'll come back
Yeah.
to it.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and he's 9 and he's already starting to do that, but he knows, like I said, but other times he's the first one to go reach for it. And he comes over and he's like, hey, mama, where's the roller for this? Or where's the cream for that? And I'm like, here you go. So
Yeah.
he knows they
Nice.
works and he likes it on his own terms. And that's what's important.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we had my family was over a couple of weeks ago, or I guess it's a little bit longer than that because it was just as school was starting and in September, and my nieces all wanted essential oil roller bottles and stuff to help them. One of them started talking about how they were having a hard time focusing. And so then I made her a focus blend, and then it turned into, they all wanted focus blends, and then they all wanted smelly, lovey, like, perfumes, and then turned into this like great little, sharing fest in the kitchen. And
Nice.
yeah, that was really nice. So it's like, on their terms, they liked it. And we'll see when I see them all again, have they been using them? I'm not 100% sure, but they were very excited about it, and they all wanted it. And then my oldest also came back and was like, oh yeah, I'll take one of those too.
Nice.
I'm like,
Well, maybe
have
that's
one,
something
but I'll
that we
make you
should
another.
do. Yeah, well, and maybe that's something that we should do on an episode coming up, is kind of look at some DIY things for Christmas time. And because they can make great gifts if they're done safely and properly. Some nice little rollers and personal inhalers and, different little recipes like that for DIY.
Great. Well, stay tuned and we
Yes.
will figure
Yeah.
out that and come back with another episode for
Absolutely.
DIY holiday gifts.
Yeah. Before we tune off, are there any other comments or advice that you'd like to give for aromatherapy over the winter months?
Use your oils. Honestly, use them. You're going to stay healthier in the long run if you're using them and being conscious of how you're feeling and taking care of yourself as a whole, than if you just kind of go through it and like a zombie. So, try to use them for fun, try to use them for your health, try to use them just for, staying awake and alert and happy through the winter months and stuff. So ultimately just use them and be aware of it, and it'll help you long term.
Awesome. That's great advice. And the last thing I want to say is we do also have a winter wellness guide on our website that you can download for free. So if you go to www.schoolofessentria.com, in the free section, you'll see a winter wellness guide, and there's all kinds of recipes for bath salts. We didn't mention bath salts. I'm a huge
I do
bath
use
lover.
bath salts this time of year. Yeah.
I love baths year round, but winter even more so because they warm me up. And I love to have the bath salt with a little bit of carrot oil and then whatever oils that I feel in that moment. But there's bath salt recipes, personal inhaler recipes, roller bottles. And what's really nice too is at the end, if you don't have an oil, we give suggestions on other oils to use, because there's always other options.
There's definitely always other options. You do not need to have every essential oil that is out there. You can just have your favorites and make lots of different blends and work with those for sure.
Yeah. So I hope everyone has a great winter and reach for those oils, and we will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to Vetiver Vibes, the Essential Oil Scoop. Bye.
Bye.
This episode was brought to you by Essentria, a leading online aromatherapy school. You can join the free Introduction to Essential Oil course at www.schoolofessentria.com.
If you love this episode or you got a lot of value out of it, please make sure you share it with someone in your community who you think will enjoy it too. If you haven't already subscribed or reviewed the show yet, please go over to your preferred streaming platform and hit subscribe, then leave a review. This is the best way to help support us, and we appreciate it. Email us with a screenshot of your review, and you will be entered into our monthly draw for a free mini course.
This podcast is for information purposes only. We are certified clinical aromatherapists and holistic health professionals. If you have a medication concern, please refer to your health team. Everyone's health is unique to themselves, so the topics and suggestions stated may or may not apply to you directly.